All right, let's talk about something we all struggle with, that constant losing battle against the clock. If you've ever just looked at your to-do list and felt completely and utterly swamped, then yeah, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Does this sound familiar? Time is never enough. I'm busy every day. I mean, how many times have we all said that? It's a feeling that connects basically everyone. And you know, this isn't a new problem. We're talking Leonardo da Vinci back in the 1490s, sketching out the first to-do lists. And here we are, centuries later, with all our fancy apps, still fighting the exact same battle. It kind of makes you wonder, what if we've been looking at this problem all wrong? And look, the numbers back this up. It's actually kind of shocking. We're talking less than 30%. Think about that. A huge study by McKinsey and Oxford University found that out of thousands of massive IT projects, less than a third of them actually finished on time. And it's not just big companies. It's students trying to write a thesis. Same deal. So right off the bat, let's be clear. This isn't just a you problem. It's not some personal failing. Something is fundamentally broken with how we approach time.
So that brings us to the big question. Why? Why are all these trusted techniques, all these productivity hacks we swear by, just not working? Well, it turns out the whole idea of time management might be built on a pretty shaky foundation.
Okay, so think about it. Every single productivity trick you've ever heard of, right? Your calendar, your to-do lists, even that Pomodoro thing with a little timer. What's the one thing they all have in common? It's simple. They're all about efficiency. They're trying to help you cram more stuff into less time. They treat time like it's a resource you can save up and spend, kind of like money.
But here's the crazy twist. The science actually shows the exact opposite happens. Research from Harvard Business School, get this, found that when we're hyper-focused on being efficient, our creativity just tanks by like 45%. We get this tunnel vision, you know? We end up just knocking out the easy, urgent stuff, like clearing our inbox, but we totally ignore the big, important work that actually moves the needle. So we end up feeling super busy, but we're not actually being effective. It's a trap. In fact, a massive analysis, we're talking over 53,000 people, found something really telling. Turns out all these time management tricks have a super weak connection to how well you actually perform at your job. But, and this is the kicker, they're way, way more effective, 72% more effective to be exact, at just one thing, making us feel better, making us feel in control. So really, what we're doing isn't managing time. We're managing our anxiety about time. Okay, so if the answer isn't managing the clock on the wall, then what is it? Well, this is where things get really cool. We have to stop looking out there for the solution. The real key is in here, inside your head. I want you to really think about this for a second. What if the problem isn't time itself? I mean, what if time isn't this constant, unstoppable river that we're all just trying to survive in? What if it's just a story that our brain is telling itself? And if it's a story, well, stories can be changed.
And that brings us to this big idea called time perception. It's a wild concept when you think about it. Your brain doesn't have like a timeometer or a special organ for sensing time. It's not like seeing or hearing. Instead, it literally creates the feeling of time passing. It pieces it together from two things, your memories of the past and your predictions about the future.
So, you can basically boil it all down to two key jobs your brain is doing. First, there's prediction. That's how your brain imagines what's coming next. And second, there's retrospection. That's how your brain looks back and makes sense of the past. And believe it or not, how your brain handles just these two things, that pretty much defines your entire experience of time. And this is where it gets really personal and honestly super useful. Because guess what? Everyone's brain does this differently. We all have our own unique time type. And once you figure out what yours is, you can finally stop using one-size-fits-all solutions and start using the tools that are actually right for you.
So check this out. Now, this might look a little complicated, but the idea here is super simple. We're just mapping those two things we talked about, prediction and retrospection. And when you combine them, you end up with 8 different time types. Basically, your personal style of looking forward and looking back puts you into one of these categories. Let's walk through a couple of common ones so you can see what I mean.
Okay, first up, we have the overloaded king. See if this rings a bell. Is your brain constantly spinning up new tasks, new worries, new things you have to do? And do they all feel incredibly real and urgent? If so, that's the signature move of this type. And the result, of course, is that feeling of just being completely overwhelmed and always, always behind. Or how about this one? The timid soul.
For this type, it's all about looking backward. Your brain is stuck on past mistakes, so your view of the past is really negative. And that creates this fear that just paralyzes you. And the crazy thing is, you actually know how to do the task. You're totally capable, but it's your own perception, your own story about the past that's holding you hostage.
Then there's a classic one, the optimist. You know this person. Maybe it's you. Your memory of the past is, let's say, a little too rosy. You remember that last big project as being a breeze, even though it was a nightmare. So what happens? You constantly, and I mean constantly, underestimate how long new things will take. Your own awesome optimism ends up being your biggest enemy when it comes to deadlines.
All right, so you're starting to see how this works. Once you have a hunch about your time type, the game completely changes. You can ditch all those generic hacks that never work for you and start using specific tools designed for your brain. It's all about working with your brain's natural tendencies, not fighting against them.
So for our overloaded king, remember them? The person whose brain is just a fire hose of new tasks? There's a brilliant tool called the SSC method. It's a lifesaver. You just take your massive to-do list and filter every single item through 3 simple questions. 1, what do I absolutely have to start doing? 2, what is just noise that I need to stop doing? And 3, what's actually working that I should continue doing? It forces you to cut through the clutter and calm your brain down.
Now, what about those of us who struggle with what they call future realism? You know that feeling where a deadline that's a week away feels like it's a million years away? For that, a technique like time boxing is perfect. You give yourself a set block of time, say 45 minutes, for one single task. And here's the crucial rule. When that timer goes off, you have to stop. Pencils down. It makes the future feel real, right now, and forces your brain to take it seriously.
Look, these tools are awesome. They're super practical, but they're really just stepping stones to something much bigger. The real endgame here is to fundamentally change your entire relationship with time itself.
It really boils down to this. There are 2 ways to experience time. For the last few hundred years, we've been obsessed with what's called clock time. Our whole life has to fit into the neat little boxes on a calendar. But for almost all of human history before that, people lived by event time. Think about it. Our ancestors didn't start harvesting at 8 a.m. sharp. They started when the sun was in the right spot, when the crops were ready. The task set the schedule. The clock didn't. And that's where we find the big paradox, isn't it? When you live by event time, you're done when the job is done. Simple. But when you live by clock time, we all know what happens. The work just magically expands to fill whatever time you give it. In our obsession to optimize every single second, we've accidentally built a world where we're guaranteed to always feel like we're running out of time.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's this. Stop fighting a battle you can't win. Stop trying to become a master of the clock. The real power, the real freedom, comes from turning inward. Become a scientist of your own mind. Get curious about how you predict the future. Gently question how you remember the past. And then you can pick the right tools to work with the brain you have, not the one you think you should have.
And I just want to leave you with one last question to chew on. In this crazy, frantic race to manage and optimize every single minute of our lives, what if the secret to gaining more time is to just stop counting it altogether? What if real freedom isn't about managing time better, but about learning how to forget about it completely? Thanks for digging into this with me today.